All right. So today it is February 6th. This is the first AMA of this month, I believe, and we're going to have a discussion with in our team members. I believe we have some amazing launch dates that we want to announce, and a typical Q&A. So if you guys want to go on the stage Q&A board, you guys can leave a question in the stage Q&A. But we're going to kick it off with Gary and Rob. If you guys have anything you want to say, anything you want to announce first, go for it.
Well, I just want to say hello. First of all, welcome everybody. It's always a privilege to have Gary on or Austin, but when you have them together, it's something special. So definitely want to take advantage of that. How are you guys?
Doing awesome.
Yeah, doing great. It's good to be up here.
Oh, listen to that new mic. I'm telling you. So good.
Yeah, very nice.
Rocking the new mic. What are you rocking these days?
I hear the bass in Austin's voice. I think
Same
up
mic
next we
that,
need
Gary
Rob
has,
to
that
get
Blue
a new
Yeti.
mic.
Yeah, you got the same mic as me. We both have Blue Yetis.
Which model?
I think that is the model.
Oh,
Blue Yeti?
That's
I
it.
think so.
I didn't know if they had a tiered system going. Okay, cool. Well,
They have
you both.
a Yeti X. Maybe I have the Yeti X. I don't know.
I do not. I have the old original one. Works well though.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say you both sound excellent, and your PFPs look better than ever. And we're rocking and rolling. 2023. You know, when Austin and Gary get together, there's some magic. But so thank you for making your time, spending your time with us in the audience. As Alex said, definitely throw in any. It's an AMA, so ask anything to anyone on the panel, or just share your thoughts, how your day is going, whatever. So Austin, before we get into it, how have you been spending your time in the Gauss world recently? What are you working on?
Oh,
A little bit of everything. Yeah, that is very much a loaded question. Yeah, a little bit of everything. Been working
That's how I roll.
Been working on the blockchain itself and lots of our product offerings, such as the Explorer, the faucet for the testnet, the Nobel swap. Lots of announcements to be made today, of course.
Amazing. And Gary, I mean, we have a lot of places we could go here. I don't know if you wanted to point me into a direction, or if there's something that you on your docket that you wanted to tackle first. Big picture, small picture.
Well, I think, in the first portion of this, we can drop the big bombshell, the launch date. But I don't think most people understand how much goes into it and, into everything we're doing. Launching a blockchain, a swap, an Explorer, NFT marketplace, all of those things together. Any of them is complex. And Austin, I know, we have a lot of conversations, and I will forever be like, yeah, we need to get that stuff done yesterday. But he's been doing a phenomenal job. Being a sole developer on stuff like this is no small or mean feat. So I just want to take a second, and appreciate that fact, because he's doing phenomenal work.
Well, thanks, buddy.
Yes. Wait, I have something for this situation.
The soundboard.
I hope that's a standing O one.
Yes,
I
that
don't
is.
know
a
if we can
standing
just.
ovation.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
But yeah, so to get into it, like I said, I kind of want to drop the big bombshell right up front. We have a bunch more stuff that we'll be talking about. Updates with Ferro cards, some cool announcements with rewards for Ferro cards, dates for migration, all that stuff that we'll be talking about. But the actual launch date for Nobel Swap is going to be February 21st. So just about 2 weeks out.
That's exciting. Anytime you put a date to something, that makes it totally real. For me, Gary, for the people that may just be not following along or stumbling in, can you give us the TLDR on what that actually means. The Nobel swap. What purpose does it serve?
So the Nobel swap is our native swap on Gauss. Unlike Ethereum or Polygon or plenty of others, we aren't just allowing anyone to launch anything, and we need to have a place for users to swap their tokens, Gang or Paper or whatever else we launch in the ecosystem. Any of the bunch of partners and clients that we're in talks with and looking forward to opening talks with, that I really want to get to a point when we can start announcing some of those. But yeah, that's the purpose it serves. And out front at launch, it's showing that this thing exists. From there, we are going to be working on a token sale, either natively or with an exchange or both. We're expecting an answer back on Friday, the 10th, from the exchange, getting back to us with a go, no go decision, whether or not we'll be doing a token sale with them. We can still do listing, even if we don't end up doing a token sale, but they're licensed throughout Europe and much of the world. So that'll be awesome. It's not a huge exchange or something like Binance, but still impressive and awesome. I like the crown, Ferret. You're always so quick on that. But yeah, so out the gate, until we get more through, it's just showing that this thing exists, right? It's awesome. I have the tendency of underhyping things, so hopefully you and the rest of the team can do what I don't do on the hype end, I guess.
So,
like, Austin, do you want to talk?
Overhype it.
Yes, I agree that you definitely like to underhype and undersell, and you're as humble as they come. But yeah, it's definitely an important brick. Austin, as someone that's putting these bricks together, I would love to hear from you, like how impactful this can be. Like, how big of a brick is this for us, and on the long timeline of what we're trying to build here.
Yeah, sure. It's pretty massive. One of the biggest announcements to make today is that the testnet is completely finished and ready to onboard partners. So we can start connecting with the curation team and start testing out some mock projects to go through the process, put it up on the testnet, see how it works, and then we can actually start bringing in outside projects. But beyond that, the swap is kind of like the bread and butter, right? That's where the NFT marketplace is going to live. That's where the Ferro cards are going to be migrated over. That's really the big product right there. So once we get that launched, that's going to be the big announcement. We won't be able to be so humble about that.
It's going to be one of those moments in time where it becomes very real for a lot of people. So I'm looking out in some of the crowd, and we have significant portion of our community here, a lot of community members. What can I, as a community member, do, Ferro card holder, expect to see and be able to do on the 21st?
So on the 21st itself, not much. We'll actually be handling the migration process. What is that? 2 weeks after that?
Yeah. So
we have announcement dates and things for that as well.
Yep.
You want to go ahead and announce it? Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're going to be pausing Ferro card minting on the 27th on Polygon, and then migrating over the first week of March. So then users will be able to have them in the ecosystem. We are still with the token sale with the exchange, which again, we'll be announcing more on that next week. If we go that route, we unfortunately have to hold off on distributing Gang to Ferro card holders until after the token sale with that exchange. And that's just because of Europe's MiCA laws. It's a whole big convoluted process. But if we end up doing just the token sale on Nobel Swap and not with them, then that might be sooner. There's pros and cons to like every decision you ever make. But yeah, so this is still early. I think it's important. I think it's super cool. Austin might. Did you make that screen grab video? Or are you doing that today or?
No, I figured we'd actually tease that for a holders hangout.
Okay. So I don't know when you want to do that. You can set the date, time, or whatever, but Austin's going to do a screen share walkthrough of Noble Swap so users can see it, in all its glory. It does look awesome. It's still early, simple stuff till we get a bunch more stuff launched on it, but it's a working swap. That in and of itself is a product that teams build. That's a whole product. That's a whole endeavor by itself. And it's just one of the things that we're doing. So yeah, sneak peek on Noble Swap coming soon. Austin will state date and time, either sometime during this chat or after the chat.
When is the next holders hangout by curiosity?
Let me go look at the events. Wednesday the 8th at 8 p.m. That's the next one on the books.
Might have to make it then.
Okay. So Wednesday the 8th, we'll be doing the sneak peeks of Noble Swap on the Holders Hangout.
Let's go. A nice little teaser.
So some of these other things that come along with migration and everything else, and we want to talk to our community. We've been talking to our guardians. They get some sneak peeks into some of the things that are going on being in the Gauss Guardians. But we've been talking about changes to Ferro cards, things like that. It's likely that we'll be removing the allocation of Gang for newly minted Ferro cards after the migration, and then minting them with Gang on Gauss after the migration. We'll also be removing the cap limits, the mint limits for iron and nickel. So that's coming. Cobalt, we're still going to leave to 1 per user, I believe. Yeah.
Alex, I hope you're taking notes.
I am. So, Gary, Rob, first of all, you sound like you fell in a well right now. A little bit echoey. But, Gary, can you repeat the first part of what, for the first changes of the Ferro cards, you're removing the allocation of Gang for newly minted cards in the Matic network. However, that's going to be coming back.
No, so newly minted cards on Gauss. So
on
everything,
Gauss.
Everything minted up to the pause date will keep the Gang allocation. And then post-migration, we'll be minting Ferro cards with Gang instead of Matic or USDC or anything else. But everyone that's minted before then, like all current holders still get their Gang allocation. All the reward NFTs still get Gang allocation. All that fun stuff. But going forward, I think it's an interesting way to change it, especially when we're exploring token sales, because it gives users, the opportunity to acquire them with Gang they already have allocated from their NFTs, in addition to likely staking Gang and all sorts of other fun stuff that we're working on. Yeah. I mean, the bigger reasons there too, we've talked internally plenty about it, and I have no problem talking openly with our community about it, is, when we launch, we want to ensure we have as healthy an ecosystem as we can possibly create or design. And so changing this process to being a mint with Gang and removing that Gang allocation should put significant demand pressure on Gang, as well as cutting the supply of Gang. We still need to get more supply into circulation, but until the community continues to grow, we have to be very mindful about how we do that. And that's part of what that whole decision process is. And it's with the mint prices, they'll likely still be 1x, 2x, 4x. So if Ferro cards end up being 200 or 250 gang, the nickel would be 400 or 500 gang, and cobalt would be 800 or 1,000 gang, depending on which way we go with that. But it is also significantly reducing the price of the Ferro card because it doesn't have a gang allocation, right?
So when's the date for this change? Or is there a solid date right now?
First week of March is the migration. And as far as minting new gang goes, that's going to be determined by whether or not we do the token sale with that exchange and how all of that works out.
But what that really means is we only have a few more weeks of minting these OG Ferro cards. We'll be stopping the gang or the minting on Polygon on the 27th.
Correct. And we'll be lifting that limit. Can we do that tonight, Austin?
I can do that right now.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and lift the mint limit for Ferro cards now-ish. He might go do it while we're on this chat.
A live lifting of the mint limit. So if you guys are in the crowd right now, count to 100, and then you're able to mint as many as you'd like. And I really like that OG Ferro cards. That's the first time I've heard that uttered. But Gary, as you're talking, I'm like, it's crazy to all the thought and decision making that goes into all of these decisions. Not just thinking, in a short term, the next couple of weeks, months, but how every decision kind of impacts everything down the roads. And I know that you're thinking about the community and the short term impact that they might feel after having a bunch of Ferro cards, but also thinking about the short term and long term viability of the ecosystem. I really commend you for all that, because I know I'm trying to keep up here with you, and it's a lot. It's a lot to run an ecosystem.
Yeah, it is, and it'll only continue to grow and be more over time. And yeah, things have to be mindfully done. And like any tech company, there's going to be changes, there's going to be pivots, but there's still driving and unifying thought processes to, what we're doing, to protecting the ecosystem. For example, huge foundational brick that we're building upon with Ferro cards, ensuring that we're setting them up for long-term success as an NFT product by themselves, and pumping in rewards as much and as often as we can over time, which I guess is actually a fair segue into another announcement. So CryptoLink during our AMA, when was that? When was the CryptoLink AMA? It was like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Wasn't that last week? I want to say just
I don't know.
just over a week.
Time is weird. But yeah, the recent AMA we had with CryptoLink, they announced the bridge miners, which are validators for the N8NE swap, and a bunch of the incentives that we're pumping into that system, and incentives that we're pumping into their NFTs, the cosmonauts, with Ferro card holders and just on Gauss in general. But within an hour, which is the fastest they've had, within an hour after that AMA, they locked up the two Genesis miners, the two Genesis bridge miners, and they've since sold a third. We're the first chain to sell a tier 1 bridge miner as well for $25,000. But part of the news is that Gauss is acquiring one of the first two Genesis miners. The reason for that, and I just dropped an image in Stage QA, is that the rewards from that miner will go to Ferro card holders just forever. So 20% of their DEX fees, that's bridges out of Gauss, go to those bridge miners. And so now Ferro card holders will forever get, some of those rewards. Granted, it's larger. If you look at Cardinal House's Node Runner, they have 100 people or 100 NFTs that's fractionalized by, and this is significantly more. So it's a much smaller individual reward over time. But this is just one of those things we're going to do for Ferro card holders. Imagine us over 3 or 5 years after we continue doing stuff like that. Yeah, I imagine they'll stack up over time.
That's amazing. That's really awesome. So here come the emojis. Yeah, that is fire. By the way, I'm really, I don't know if this has been said, I'm really digging the Nobel Swap. I know this is off topic, but I'm really digging the Nobel Swap logo.
Oh yeah,
like really digging it.
I love that's the direction we went. The early process for finding what we were going to do for its, for the Nobel Swap logo and mascot, Nobel Swap being a play on words that it's also noble metals, noble gases, that sort of nerdy tie-in. But noble is in, that's part of what we're aiming for with the entire ecosystem being higher integrity. And so we're like, what animals or mythic creatures are noble, right? You've got like lions, that's done a lot. So are phoenixes, but I really like where we ended up. Stag was another one that was put on a chopping block, as it were, because I don't think that would have looked great.
I really like the titanium phoenix though. That worked out well.
Yeah, agreed. So I love it. We've talked already about changes for Nobel Swap 2.0. We were just talking even before this call. I want to remove slippage as something for the end user. They shouldn't have to worry about that. They should just see their swap, and so long as there's sufficient liquidity, it's all calculated. They see what they want to get or want to put in. So, 100 gang and precisely what they're getting out. For advanced users, you can go into the settings or go into an advanced view and see that sort of thing. But your average user largely doesn't care, in my opinion. So looking forward to making changes like that with Gauss 2.0. Lots and lots of things we want to change. Building it from the ground up.
So I want to go back.
Go ahead.
About that. So I want to kind of go back to the Genesis miner. So Ferro cards holders are able to kind of benefit off of it, but is there like a way for how are rewards being distributed? Is it monthly, daily, or yearly? Is there a
so it depends on the So it depends on the reward, right? Like we have the contests that are going to run for 5 years, and those are going to be daily, weekly, monthly, depending on the tier and how we want to do that. There's going to be random airdrops of tokens as things continue to launch. So if we have brand X launch with Gauss, we might take 100,000 or 1 million of their tokens and airdrop it to Ferro card holders, or we might enter it into a drip pool that drops out to the Ferro card holders over time. We've also been talking a lot for a while about how we want to handle regular and recurring rewards, and I think we've come to some decisions on that front that it's likely, like for the bridge miner rewards, we won't be airdropping them every transaction or something like that. We'll probably have that enter a pool, which then gets dropped, 2 or 4 times a day, depending. And likely as part of a larger reward distribution system, which again, we were just talking about yesterday, I think, or the day before. So there's going to be a lot of different reward distribution methods, and some things we're going to take snapshots of, holder wallets, and then do an airdrop that way, or just airdrop to all current holders, all sorts of different things over time. Play this out over 100 or hundreds of different projects launching with us, so we're able to do this, and we'll come up with a number of different ways, I imagine.
That's really
That's when
cool.
it's going to get really interesting when the different partnerships come in and just the different types of value and the different, the different flavors of airdrops and just rewards. That's going to be super fun.
The reward NFTs, by the way, are likely keeping the gang allocation, or accompaniment, if you want to use that word, because we've had this conversation internally. So we'll be setting aside, in addition to those NFTs, an amount of gang that they still get. So in 5 years, when somebody wins an Iron NFT, they'll still be getting gang with it. So that's one of those things. We might create a pool that's dripped into Ferro card holders for a period of time, a year or 2 years or whatever. That could be 2 or 4 million or whatever gang. So that's still things we're determining. I mean, literally, we're just going to keep trying to throw the kitchen sink into rewards here.
Well, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't we? Amazing. So I saw Austin's comment that the limit has been lifted. So someone out there right now could make Gauss history by minting Ferro card number 51. I know we have an abundance of 50x holders, but the limit's lifted. History could be made right here tonight.
And just to recap, these will be the only ones that actually receive the gang allocation. And they will be, we're going to be pausing the minting on the 27th. So after that, any and all Ferro cards that get minted will not have a gang allocation attached to them. They have all the same rewards, just not the allocation of gang.
Right.
So yes, we need to make that abundantly clear messaging as we get closer to the 27th. The allocation party's over.
Is there any current benefits of being an OG Ferro card holder?
That's something else we've discussed. We haven't determined that, but it is likely that any of the pre-migration might have some sort of attribute to show that they were pre-migration NFTs, or the first whatever chunk number are Genesis Ferro Iron NFTs. Still TBD on that, but it's very likely. I don't know what benefits we'll get down the road other than bragging rights, but possibly, and probably if we do that, probably also a Discord role just to show that they're, the OG holders. Because we started minting Ferro cards July 8th, I believe it was. Is that right? Does that sound right, Austin?
That doesn't sound right, but it may be.
Hold on, go look at the contract launch date. What was the first transaction on this contract? Let's see, 213 days ago. Oh, I was right, July 8th.
Nice.
Look at that.
Austin.
But
It's pretty good.
It's something, we greatly appreciate our community that's been here this long. We had hope to have, Nobel Swap, for example, up in the holiday period, but shit happens. Like, man, tech startups, if you've never run a marathon, it's a lot like that, but also wearing like a full war pack up and running 26 miles and knowing that you're going to stumble, run out of water, your shoes are going to tear. Like, there's a lot, and I don't think there's ever been a tech startup that didn't have to make changes or adjustments or deal with headaches or problems. And it still happens with large, companies. Apple released one of their early iPhones. It might have been the iPhone 3 or some such, maybe 5. And they destroyed the entire iOS network for days during that launch. Like, it happens,
The same
That's-
thing with the whole market, and I mean, no one could have predicted FTX and all the other stuff that's happening right now. So, and I think currently a lot of tech companies are laying off a lot of people. Facebook, Twitter, even Google. So it's a unprecedented time, and these changes are necessary for the long-term growth of this project, like Gauss.
Yep. Oh, somebody did just mint the 51st. I'm guessing it was Ferret.
Yeah, that's got to be a ferret.
He.
Ferrets, he would have been my first choice, or my first guess if we were betting, if there were odds on this. But Sean was saying he's got 57.
From
All right,
wings
well,
and stuff.
oh,
Which,
gotcha.
that's one of the benefits that the earliest holders have. That I think is probably wildly underplayed. They've been getting rewards since July, since we started launching the wings and dings. We're in week 29, I think. One of the mods can correct me there.
That's absurd.
Let me see. We're in week 29 of the wings and dings. And, we've been giving away an iron NFT every day, and then one to anyone in the community every week for 29 weeks. So in a year from now, they'll still have been here that much earlier than everyone else.
That's just a crazy amount of giveaways. By the way, when was that your baby? Was that your idea, Gary?
Which
The wings and dings?
Yeah, they were. Well, we knew we wanted to do some sort of contests and giveaways and whatnot. And when I was first conceptualizing the Ferro cards, I wanted to put aside a chunk of them to be given. I just think it's really freaking cool to give them away, for 5 years. And it's not a huge block, right? Like there's 345 cobalt, 789 nickel, I believe, and then a larger chunk, obviously, of iron that are being allocated to giveaways and things like that. I just think it's cool.
It's totally cool. And, going back to the community, I mean, I think they deserve it for supporting, obviously, and sticking around. But just like, they've, through osmosis or just whatever, are just as patient as you guys, just building it. Like, if you're building something big, like you need to build a deep and wide foundation. And if you're looking at it from the ground level, like you don't see all of the work that's going on. And in this space, there's so much impatience. And like, when am I getting this? When Lambo, right? And you just don't hear it from these guys, at least not out loud and out in the Discord. So I think they just, they deserve it. It's just super cool to be a part of and to have the community really align with everything that's happening. Because like you said, it is, it's slow and steady, brick by brick.
Yep. I don't think I'm going to look on OpenSea right now, but I don't think anyone has listed one for sale seriously still. Nope. So since July 8th, which has been, what's that? That's 7 months now. I think that's still an outlier. I've mentioned it before in an AMA, and it's still an outlier.
So, I mean, I would say it every day. Austin, I want to circle back to you.
Absolutely.
Like you're building a lot. Like as Gary mentioned at the top, like this is not a one pony show. Like you're building a lot, and obviously you don't have the biggest team on you. I'm curious on like a personal level, like what have you like learned about yourself as a professionally through this, or maybe personally, because like you're doing a lot.
Well, I appreciate it. I think the biggest thing is really trying to learn a good work-life balance, because this is my baby. This is what I spend the vast majority of my time doing. And it's not like a regular job where, you have a boss, you get paid, you just clock in, clock out, and you go home. If I don't build it, it doesn't get built. and I have a very, very large vested interest in making sure that this is as best as it possibly can be. So I'm trying to find that work-life balance has been fun.
Like a true entrepreneur. So in the 13 to 24 minutes a day or a week that you get to decompress, like what are you doing? Are you gaming? Are you watching a show? What does Austin do when he's not building these bricks?
As I wish I did. It's pretty much TFT because it's a good 15-20 minute game in and out. I do watch a lot of shows. Definitely been catching up on The Last of Us recently. It's a phenomenal show if you haven't seen it.
I've heard of it. I haven't jumped in yet.
I played the game, but never seen the show yet. I'm waiting for all the episodes to come out. Then I'm gonna binge watch it. But that's something on my radar.
I mean, I had to ask because I know you're doing all of these things, and most of it I don't even understand from a technical level. But then you're in Discord doing tickets, and you're doing payouts, and you're doing this, and you're doing emails, and you're doing the website, and it's like, holy smokes!
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Like, who is this guy?
Just to answer a question, by the way, somebody hopped in. What is the mainnet for Gauss on MetaMask? So the mainnet is technically live. It'll probably be restarted when we do our official launch. However, I did finish most of the docs last night, and I'm dropping that in the stage Q&A. So you can actually click that, and there are setup guides, connection guides on how to connect to Gauss. There are links to the faucet on the testnet for developers so that it can actually get some testing and start testing their projects on the testnet. So check that out when you get an opportunity.
This has been a super heavy announcement, AMA. I don't remember one like this. It's been a very long time, if ever.
We'll also be writing up stuff on the docs because we were just talking about this. We had a call right before this, but adding stuff for the Ferro cards to our docs page as well. So that'll be coming soonish. I'll probably write all that stuff up and then let Lauren make it awesome and fix whatever I fuck up. Probably.
All the missiles.
Well, Austin, one question I have. Do you have carpal tunnel?
No, not yet, thankfully.
Oh, man. Wrist rests are the...
Oh, but man, I have a terrible crick in my shoulder that just doesn't go away. That's probably from typing. Yeah, in the shoulder, for sure.
And bad posture.
Yeah, well, that too.
Wait, you have a better chair than I do, don't you?
I do. That's why it's only my shoulder that hurts, and only one.
See, I still love this thing. I had a DX Racer years ago. I bought them when they first started, gaming chairs first started becoming a thing. I still have it. I put chair covers over it, and it's still super comfortable. But when I was getting a new chair, I got a DX Racer Master, which is just like a bigger, more office-y looking gaming chair. And I'm still liking it. I still like this thing. I still think I might try to get a steel case, or what's the name of that other brand? Harman Cooper? Is that it?
Harman something. I don't know.
Harman Miller?
K. I'm not sure.
Harman Cooper's a book thing. Herman Miller. That's it. Herman Miller.
Yes, there we go.
I might go that route next, but that's...
You need all the for the DX Racer, do you need the side bolsters for all the G's you're pulling when you slide from one area to room to the other?
No, I'm not even wide enough to this chair is made for a person larger than myself. So no, it does not hug me. The other one did because that was smaller, but
here's the real question: Who has more screens going? Who has more monitors between the two of you?
I have 3 at the moment. You have a big one though.
Yeah, I have a 42-inch OLED monitor that is amazing. I highly recommend it. It's awesome.
Monitor?
It is TV. Yes, it's TV. But yeah.
Okay.
That's a
They
big
do
boy.
make a 42-inch OLED now. Asus does. It's using the same panel though.
I have a tape measure right now, and I'm trying to get a measurement on what this would be if it were a single diagonal, because I think it's like 60 something between these three monitors. Yeah, it'd be about 62 inches for these three. Because 5760 by 1080 is the resolution, which is next to impossible to get most games or anything to work in that resolution, but that's the resolution. That's what my backgrounds are in, is 5760 by 1080.
So
And
Gary,
real quick, just because Surma ended up shooting me a question outside of this, what you were referring to is the ETH RPC. That's specifically for developers who want to get API access to the Explorer. That way they can query the Explorer and therefore the blockchain without actually physically interacting with the website. But yeah, just for those who aren't sure what I'm talking about, Surma asked a question why there was information regarding the RPC nodes inside of the docs.
And big shout out to Surma. Surma's all over everything. We appreciate you, Surma. I'm really liking this conversation, this BTS conversation. You know, a day in the life, and I had one and I just lost it. It'll loop around. But
I got a question for Gary. I guess a lot of people always ask about for partnership and updates on top of that. I guess would the 27th, would the 21st be that day or something like 27th? Will you be giving announcements on potential partnerships, or would that be a later thing?
So there are 3 partnerships or affiliates or partners that we'll be announcing soonish. I have to go over timeline with Rob. So there's that one. There will be the possible exchange relationship that we might announce next week. There's a handful of others that we're still in various different phases of negotiation on. Like we had actual pitch assets made for one potential client, working through that management company and agency. Yeah, those other partnerships I don't have a timeline on, but we do have a few affiliate and partnership relationships that we'll be announcing soon. 2 of them are really, really awesome. Not to say the third isn't also awesome, but 2 of them, everyone will at least recognize one of those 2, and the other one, God, how much to say without saying it? They're very trusted third parties in this space. So cool stuff.
you could always try making some hints with GIFs. That's always a nice challenge. Let people try to crack the code.
Last time I did that, I forget who it was, but they like figured it out. It might have been Sean too. Somebody figured it out like in 5 minutes. Our community is too damn smart, so I don't do that anymore.
There are some smart ladies and gentlemen in here, I do have to say. And I also do want to point out the curation team stopped. I don't know if they stopped their meeting early or they just said, you know what, there's so much juice going on in the AMA with Gary and Austin. We're just going to all head over there. So they're all here. Welcome, curation. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, that was rescheduled. It looks like I just checked my email to see because I figured Derek would have emailed me.
I'm going to go with my fantasy that they felt they felt the alpha, they felt the announcements, and just stopped the meeting right in its tracks and headed over. Yeah, Alex, we're definitely going to have to rendezvous and unpack this.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack definitely in this conversation.
Yeah, and that's so I think something else I've said before, probably not on an AMA. I know I've said it in meetings before, with different advisors and venture capitalists and things like that when talking about money, right? Because being where we're at, that we are launching things before attempting to do a token sale or equity crowd or equity fundraising or any of that stuff is different. But part of what the Ferro card NFT sales have helped us do is build out this team and learn a lot. Like, we've built out our curation process. The curation team has done a phenomenal job on that. But more importantly, we've learned how to be a team with fairly little monthly overhead compared to if we had a full-time, larger staff, right? We'd be burning, $100,000 a month or something, and learning which tools we do or don't want to use, how to effectively use whatever tools in our tech stack, how to effectively collaborate, cooperate, lead, manage a fully remote team. Like, all of these things are very interesting, different than other challenges I've faced with other leadership endeavors. So I do think this approach is really awesome. And we're remarkably fortunate to have the team that we do and have everyone on board that we do. So to our whole team, you're all awesome. I appreciate you all being on this fucking wild ride with us. And we have a lot more to go still.
Absolutely. And then it's a whole other set of circumstances when it's totally remote, 100%. I mean, for the majority, I know there's some people in close proximity, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just a different dynamic. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to you guys for making it work. What's the most recent thing you learned, Gary? What was the most recent learning that you've had?
Most recent learning?
I mean, the teacher in me says you're supposed to be learning every day, so.
I do, but today, I don't know. Today I've been up in my feels, as it were, looking at world events and things like that. We talked about it a little bit before we started recording, but what have I learned? See, I would ask what I've learned positive. I've learned about MiCA laws and regulations in Europe. That's been interesting. Pretty dry and boring stuff, but what's that?
So that's a slight bit of alpha drop there, in case anyone was wondering.
Well, I said MiCA laws and regs earlier. Not saying which exchange it is yet, but they are licensed to operate within Europe and throughout the world. Ironically enough, because the United States is so backwards on our regulations, in meeting with the CEO of that exchange, he paired the United States with North Korea as countries that can't operate on their exchange. Buyers can't buy on the exchange. So I learned how people in that part of the world view the United States. Not a huge surprise, I guess. Relearned that. But yeah, even as far as crypto regs go, we're backwards and behind significantly. I don't know. What else have you guys learned? Because I learn a lot of stuff all the time. It's just what's relevant, right?
I'll open that up to the floor first.
Austin, what have you learned recently that you didn't? What have you actually learned?
That's a hard one. It's more along the lines of, what is that, Edison? 100 ways not to build a light bulb?
Yeah.
Yep. That's generally where I'm at.
I mean, that's still learning, though.
True.
That's an iterative process. Interesting just tidbit for you, Rob. As a teacher, that is something that the Kennedys do as a family over dinner every night, or used to. I don't know that they still do. But they would ask everybody around the dinner table, what did you learn today? And if anyone at the dinner table had nothing to contribute, they all learned something new together every day. Just a interesting little
That is interesting.
family factoid about the Kennedys.
I love that. That's really cool. I love facts like that. I think some entrepreneur, when asked about like her mindset, I think it was, I forget her name, but I think it's the woman that created Spanx, and and is like a whatever trillionaire from it. But I think she always used to sit down at the table, and her dad would say, "Okay, what did he fail at today?" So it just like totally flipped the mindset that talk about school and like that ecosystem where it's like get an A, don't fail, like don't take chances, like sit in your seat. I think it just engraved taking chances and being curious and asking questions and exploring. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is an interesting, different approach to it. Because, like us as a company, we just had an OKR meeting, myself, John, and Derek, and finally hammering in on our top level OKRs, which has been something we've gone back and forth about for a while. Which, for anyone who's not familiar, it stands for objectives and key results. And part of that process, for me, it is important that everyone on the Gauss team shoot for very ambitious goals, right? For a lot of what we want to do, we're going to miss a lot of our ambitious goals. And the goal for us as a team, as a company, and for me as a leader, is not to discourage those ambitions, not to discourage shooting for the moon, literally, right? And all of that has to be done very thoughtfully, very mindfully when you're assembling a team, or like with our community, very mindfully encouraging the conversation, asking questions, being very welcoming to newcomers. Regardless, we've had people come in here trying to be haters, and we just welcome them with open arms and answer their questions as if they're asking them earnestly, because I think it's a better, more constructive approach, right? And the other side, what you were just talking about, addressing failures or asking how you failed, you can do that constructively as well. So it's just an interesting point that you were talking about.
Of course, I love it, and thank you, Surma. I'm seeing Sarah Blakely was the name I was looking for. The correct answer was, who is Sarah Blakely? Oh man, I miss Jeopardy. I haven't seen that show in so long.
Oh, I didn't even know you were asking. I thought that was part of the story. I didn't know the answer, just to put that out there, but I didn't know that was a question.
No, I remember the story from Sarah Blakely. I just couldn't remember that it was Sarah Blakely. I had the Spanx connection.
Yeah, I watch a lot from other founders and things, and VCs and engineers and all sorts of stuff. TED Talks. Harry Stebbings, 20 VC is the name of his VC. 20-minute VC is his podcast. Has phenomenal content all the time. Yeah, just always be learning. Always learn something new. Always try new shit.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy how the algorithms. Going to the question on learning, I'm learning to like really be careful of the rabbit holes I get into with like the Instagram reels or TikToks and the shorts. Like, man, because you could look up and it's 90 minutes later.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a lot of good content, but man, nothing has been accomplished.
Well, see, I don't know. I listen to things while I'm working a lot. I actually have a video up right now about influencer marketing with Night Media's talent director, David Hunsinger, who used to be with WME. Like, that was up before my call with Austin. And after this, when I go back to working on stuff, I'll play and listen to that. So yeah, I agree with you. If you're like, We've all done it. You sit in bed or you sit on the toilet or eating or whatever, and you just doom scroll for a bit. Yeah, there's probably some of that where, there's not a lot of constructive whatever being gained. I also don't think that everybody has to be productive 100% of the time.
100%. Yeah.
Give your chance. Like Austin was saying earlier, that work-life balance. I'm actually a terrible, I'm not an idol in this. I'm not a great person with it. Why I don't have work-life balance. I have times where I'll pause because I'm waiting on things. But when it comes to go time, I don't know what the fuck work-life balance actually means for me. And that's not healthy. It's not something 99.9% of people should ever attempt to do or aspire to do. I think that sort of mentality for people everybody can do this. You can put in 120 hours a week or 140 hours a week starting your own startup. That's not healthy for almost anyone. For me, I thrive in it. I love that. The waiting, the in-between portions, that's hard for me.
Well, it's self-awareness. You don't judge yourself for it, and that's who you are, and you accept and you love it. So, I mean, you don't need a balance the other way if that's what you're truly enjoying, and if it changes, that's okay too.
Right.
Wrapping up the little content piece, it was on one of these AMAs, and this is I'm totally confident and cool sharing this. I just didn't know that you could speed up the audio on these things. You guys were talking about 1.25, 1.5. I listen to this guy at 1.25, this guy at 1.5. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know you could do that on YouTube.
Really? Oh, Rob.
Yeah, I always did on podcasts, but I was like, oh man, my life just changed.
Yep.
So, and now I'm even learning at who I can do 1.25 and then who I can do 1.5. So my life has changed because of Gauss.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's one of those bizarre things that you just find at some point. I don't know when I found it, but years and years ago when I found it, I was like, oh man. And at first you start listening to it and it sounds weird because of course you're speeding it up. So they sound weird. People sound weird when they're sped up. But then you just get used to it. You just consume that same amount of information at a faster speed. Life hack.
Total life hack.
On there's a plugin for Chrome where you can add a speed player to any video that you're watching, so you can speed up anything on Facebook or Vimeo or whatever. And it's been pretty life-changing just adding that on.
Oh, Sean's saying you need to get back to work, Austin.
It's 7:04 Eastern Standard Time.
What did you say? 140 hours a week?
Well, in all seriousness, this is great. Always nice to jam about the big stuff going on, and then just the water cooler stuff of the world.
Yeah, we have more announcements coming and more cool stuff. We didn't want to. We're actively not announcing everything that we have to announce today, but more cool stuff coming.
Yes, so we are going to have a lot of messaging going out, summarizing and synthesizing a lot of this. But you guys are awesome. This Thursday, the 9th at 6:00, we are going to have the curation team on. I think all 3 members are going to be on for an AMA. So please check that out. We've been, they've come up plenty of times this chat, and they're responsible for a lot of the amazing things going on here. So please join us for that. And we will see you in the Discord. Austin, thanks for tapping out for a few minutes and to be with us. We'll let you get back to it. And you know what, Gary, same to you. We're holding you up as well.
This is a welcome break for sure. It's always good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, this has been awesome. I said it last time. I miss doing AMAs more with our community, with you guys. I do enjoy these conversations, and I enjoy dropping alpha, and I appreciate everyone's patient with us over the holidays and, recently while we've been gearing up for a lot of these announcements and things. So looking forward to more, though.
Always, always. Alex, you're a real one. Thank you for all you do.
No, you guys. Well, I'm trying to get some outro music out, but clearly it's not working at the moment. Hold on.
Yeah, and thanks for everyone coming to listen. Thanks for everyone on YouTube who comes back to listen later.
Awesome. All right.
And don't forget to check the docs if you have any questions, and hit us up on Discord.
Check the docs, check the swap, get your OG Ferro cars while they're still available. So much. Oh, and there's the recap. Awesome. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Yeah, I don't know why, but my audio card or something from it's not working. So no outro music for today. Sorry. We'll do. Someone can do a cappella. Maybe Gary or
Nope. Austin, acapella.
No, it's been a long time since my chorus days.
Come on, but you had I've never had chorus days.
I was in chorus for 7 years. Little tidbit.
Well, I think we need some of that proof with your new microphone.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Not right now. That's the reason why you got the microphone. You gotta show it off a little bit.
I'm making a sound studio in my house. That's my backup plan.
Anyways, thank you everyone for joining, I guess.
We'll,
That's all I have.
we'll leave quietly and awkwardly.
Right?
Okay.